Hi, I'm Tom, and in this video I'm going to explain what Django Tenants is and how to set it up. Django Tenants enables schemas to be used within your Django project. So why do you need Django Tenants? If you're writing a software as a service app, you have three main choices. One is, you could add an ID to every single table. The problem is, you have to go around and make sure every single query that has got customer data in it has got an ID. Otherwise, there could be a security problem and you could leak somebody else's data to another customer. Two, you could have an instance of a new database for each client. Problem with this, Django doesn't really support multiple databases, so you'd have to set up a new website for every single customer, which seems a bit nasty to do. 3. You could use PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL is what Django Tenant uses. Schemas allow you to isolate each of your customers' database, just like having their own database, but it has some added benefits. The main benefit is you can get to a public database, so you can query your own database or your client's database and a public database. This allows certain data to be shared and other data to be private. This allows you basically to have less security problems and is much better for software as a service apps. I hope that now explains what Django Tenants is. The next thing I'm going to do is show you how to set up Django Tenants. To do this, I'm going to be using PyCharm as that's my preferred IDE. I've already set up a test app called DTDemo, and I've installed Django Tenants with pip. The first thing you need to do is set up a new app that will hold all the information about each tenant. So I'm going to run a management command. I'm going to go start app and I'm going to call it customer. Just going to put that in and my new app is there. We can now add the two database tables that are needed in that app. The two database tables hold the information about the client and the domain names. So let's put them in. Models. And I will put those in. Now you don't necessarily need all the fields on each one of these. In fact, I'm going to get rid of paid until and on trial and created on, just for ease of this demo. But one can add more fields if required to explain what each tenant or who the tenant is for. So now I need to change the settings. If I go to settings, we need to enable Django Tenants in the installed apps. Next thing we need to do is add the middleware. Just indent that. Now we need to change the database engine, which is down here. So the database credentials need to be as followed. They need to be Django_tenants.postgres_backend and put the username and password of your database in as normal. The next thing we need to do is add the customer app to the installed apps. Let's go and do that now. Django Tenants requires a link in the settings file to these two apps, the client and the domain app. So let's go and add them now. Doesn't really matter where we put them, but for ease I'm going to put them at the bottom. The two settings are called tenant model and tenant domain model. The next thing I need to do is add some routing. The routing is to do with database. So let's add those two settings underneath as well. One of the last things I need to do is add a link, add a list of my client models. Now these go into one called tenant apps. Okay, so let's go and add tenant apps equals, and let's paste some of these, grab some of these, not static files. I'll do everything but static files. Add those. You need to add these because if you don't, it could be a security risk. If you don't put sessions across, you could potentially get from one tenant, a user could get to one tenant to another. So I'd recommend using the settings I've got here. You need to rename installed apps to shared apps, and you need to add installed apps back in, but this time it's a list of a set of shared apps plus tenant apps. Right, I've made one little mistake. I've named something wrong. If I go to the bottom, it shouldn't be customer, because my app isn't customer, it should be customers, so it should be customer. So let's go and change that quickly. Right, now I'm going to do a migration. So let's go to here. I'm going to make migration. It's created my two models. Now I'm going to migrate, but this I'm going to use migrate schema, slightly different. Let's go and run that one. And I have my schema migrated. I'll now show you what it's like in pgadmin. If I go to public, I still got one schema, and these are my tables. Let's go back to PyCharm. The next thing I'm going to do is put a new app. I'm going to call this my client app. So let's go start app. I'll call it my client app. I've now added that client app, as you can see down here. What I'm now going to do is go and put that in the settings file, but this time instead of putting it in the shared apps, I'm going to put it in the tenant apps. So my client app, I'm going to put one field in the database. Let's go and do that. My client app, go to models. So I'm going to add the person app, a model from Django's tutorial. There it is. Now I'm going to do a make migration. And I'm going to do a schema migrate. I've added that to there. Let's go and put that in the admin. So now I'm going to create a tenant. To do this, we go and run a management command. Create tenant. So the schema name I'm going to use is T1. I've already set up in my host file. I've set up T1 to T4 to point to 127.0.0.1. So T1 name, that was the name. This is just any old name. We'll call it test1. And we've now got a domain. So the domain is t1.dtdemo.local. Is primary, leave blank. Yes, it is primary. Right. Now, we have a tenanted app and a schema. Let's go and view it in pgadmin. Go to pgadmin, go to here, refresh. We got public and we got T1. Let's create another app. Let's call it create tenant T2, name test 2, domain is t2.dtdemo.local, primary, yes. Now you'll find back in pgadmin refresh. There we are. I've got three schemas, public, T1 and T2. So now let's go and see if we can view those tenants in a browser. First of all, we need to go and put an asterisk next to the allowed host, as I forgot to do this earlier. So it's not recommended in production. Please see Django documentation for what you should put in here. But as this is a demo, I'm just putting an asterisk to allow all hosts. Now let's run the server. Let's go back to here. I'm going to paste in my link. And congratulations, you got to your page. So what we can do now is if we go to the admin side of it, we should be able to log in. Let's create a user for each one of our tenants, a super user. To do this, I'm going to use the command line, as PyCharm currently has a bug with this feature. So, right, what I'm going to do is call up the management command, python manage py create tenant super user. I can list all the schemas out. In this case, I want to do T1. I'm now going to put a name. I'm going to call him Bob. I'm going to have an email of bob@bob.com. And I could have the password as Django Man. Right. Now we can log in. Make sure you're on T1, not T2. Bob and Django Man. And here you are. You're logged in. If we log out and try and log into number 2, and go Bob and Django Man, you'll notice we won't be able to log in as the site is as the users are tenanted. Let's go back into the other app. Now what we're going to do is make sure that the person app comes out on here. I thought I'd already done this, but let's go and double check. So in our admin of my thing, we should have register. I'm just going to pause the video and see what I've done wrong and come back. Right, so I missed a few things out. I should have put it like this. There are other ways of doing it. I obviously didn't completely know the syntax. Let's go back to the website. You will now see that I've got my person over here. We can now add some data in here. We can add a person. Let's call him somebody called Tom Turner. And you can see in here I've got that. Now let's go and make a super user, for the other tenant. Let's go and do it in here, create super user. We want to do it in T2 this time. We use Tom as the username, and we use tom@tom.com. That's not my email address. I'll use it anyway. So Django man. Right, let's go and log out, and well, we could just go call up another window. T2. Dismiss that. T2. Let's do Tom and Django man. You notice we haven't got any data because we haven't added any, but in our other app we have. So it's the same app being used in two different schemas. Next thing is we need to create a view. To do this, let's go and put a very quick view in. That would be the end of the video then. So what we need to do is create a public version of the URL. So we need to make a public and a private version. So there's another setting. We need to put in the settings file. Let's go and get the settings. We go and get it. So we got somewhere here, there's root URL config, and we need to put pub above. I'm going to put above that, I'm going to put public schema URL config equals dt demo dot public URLs. Let's copy that, paste that, and call that public URLs. Let's create a very quick view. We can leave that with not much in it because that's the public one. This is the private one. Let's create a quick view in my app. Right, now I'm going to paste in this a person list view. Yeah, and that's my tenanted view going across the person app. Let's go and look at the HTML file. I've already added this, did this a minute ago. This is what I got in there. Let's go to the URLs file, not the public one in this case, we want the main one. Need to paste this in. I've already done it earlier. I'm going to press this button here to run it. And let's go to the app. In that case, I've got nothing on the page. Let's go and look at the other one. Tom Turner. You notice we're now, so let's go into the admin of T2. /admin. I'm already logged in from earlier, so it's saving my session. There's no people. Let's go and put Bill Smith. Save. Let's now go and have a look. Bill Smith and Tom Turner. Okay, that is basically Django Tenants. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please like my video. And any feedback is welcome. Many thanks.